Hey class, listen, just wanted to touch base with you. First of all, I know I look a little ragged. I've spent, over the past 48 hours, I spent probably over 20 of those on the road. My wife's grandmother passed away, and so we had to make a quick trip for her funeral, but hopefully I'll get a little bit of rest in the next day or two. Well, the discussion board 5 is graded, so you can certainly get on and look at that. And I saw the quiz grades. Some did well, others not so well, and I know that the quizzes can be challenging. You might want to just think about how you go about studying, and maybe that might help for the next quiz. And certainly I'm available for help if you have a question about how you might be able to study more effectively. Now, this week's a big week, right? The week has finally arrived that I've been warning you about all this term, and that's our paper. Our paper will be due this coming Sunday at 11:59 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Now, again, I cannot emphasize enough the importance of just simply following the instructions for the intertestamental period paper. They are pretty specific. They're easy to understand, and so just follow them very clearly. Now, a couple of warnings. Number one, make sure that you use scholarly sources. I would really avoid using any internet source other than one that provides you with a scholarly journal or some other scholarly source. As I've made reference in the past, some of these internet sources that are used will not qualify as a scholarly source. For example, I think it's Angel Fire. Webster's does not count as a scholarly source. Other sources that are kind of like that, you need to use scholarly sources that are known to be that. So make sure you use great sources. That goes a long way in helping you have a really good paper. Also, make sure that you are very balanced in your use of the sources. A lot of times students will, they may have 5 sources, but they use really 1 or 2 of them for the bulk of the paper. And so I would suggest that you try to have a balanced approach to using the various sources that you cite. Also, when you do your own section, your special section, what you want to kind of emphasize, like I've said in the past, I would, gather 2 or 3 sources that deal specifically with that particular issue or person or period or whatever the case might be. That's going to really help provide you some depth to that section. I'm looking for a lot more than just what you can read or what I can find in your textbook. Make sure that you kind of really flesh out whatever that particular person, ideology, or whatever that you choose to write on. So please do a good job. Also, again, in a lot of the discussion boards, the footnote citations are not correct. And some of that is because I know that the transfer over from what you write and then pasting that into the discussion board can create some of those variations. However, when you are attaching a Word document, that will not be the case. You will not have that type of change or variation. So you need to make sure that you have the right you have the right citation forms, the right footnote forms, and the right bibliographical forms. Those are 2 different forms. Although the same information is in each one, however, the forms are different. So make sure you check out the forms. And I want to suggest that if you've not purchased a copy of Turabian, the 7th edition, you need to do so. Kate Turabian, that is one of the required texts, and it is very, very useful, not just for the proper forms, but a lot of great insight about grammar and about just research in general. So I would really suggest you get that. And that's going to really help you have the right forms and gives you great examples of the forms within the book itself. But make sure you also take a look at the Liberty Divinity School style manual too. Well, I'm excited for you guys, I hope you guys will work really hard. Make sure you carve out a lot of time this week to not only do the research and to write, but then to proofread. Listen, guys, there's a wonderful writing center, online writing center, that you can upload your document, have someone proofread it for you. That can be very, very helpful in just helping you to have a great paper. So use that resource. It's really there for you. And guys, listen, make sure you properly cite your sources, not necessarily in form, but just for plagiarism's sake. Anytime you use information from an author, you need to cite that in a footnote. Avoid using large block quotes, and I would avoid using many quotes at all. What you want to do is just summarize that material in your own words and then footnote it. Sometimes, of course, a quote is appropriate, but you want to stay away from just a lot of quotes. That's my point. So listen, if you have any questions about the paper, please make sure you shoot me an email. Make sure that in your introduction that you state a thesis, and in your course content, in the syllabus and in the instructions to the paper, there's an explanation of a thesis statement, so take a look at that. But basically, a thesis statement is just a statement about what you are going to try to prove or demonstrate in your paper. So make sure you have that in there. That's just part of the requirement. Look over the rubric so you understand exactly what is required of you for the paper. Again, it's 7 to 12 pages. I think that's right. 7 to 12 pages, and no, that's not right. It's 9 to 12 pages. Yes, 9 to 12 pages. I'm sorry. Now, that's 9 full pages. That's not 8 pages plus a half that goes on to page 9. That's 9 full pages. So make sure you take note of that. Margins are important. Listen, 1-inch margins around the whole paper. That makes it very simple. So just do that. If you have any other questions, look over the instructions, and then just shoot me an email, and I'll be more than happy to help in any way that I can. Alright? Well, I hope that you guys have a great week. I know that it'll be a difficult one, but I hope that it's very educational and provides you a lot of understanding about the period in which was just prior to the New Testament being written. Alright? You guys have a good week.